What's up, everyone? Welcome back. This is Ben Barrows, also known as Random Crayon, here reviewing the second part of the 162 Bounty Builder Hand History Review. We finished off the last video with this Ace-9 hand, and now for the first hand of this part, we get Ace-9 again. This time it's suited, though. Unfortunately, we just have to fold to this under the gun open. Their range is just a bit too strong. Now we have Ace Jack off, under the gun. We min open, and get called by the BB. Get a 10 Queen 7 2 diamond board. It's a great one to c-bet. We have a straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. Turn pairs the 7. Easy check back, since they are going to have some 7x in their range. They check the river, and so we decide to bet huge here to rep a flush or a boat. And it's a great opportunity for us to overbet because we have the ace of diamonds. So we have the nut flush blocker. It's impossible for them to have the nut flush. And it's very unlikely that they have a flush at all because they probably would have led the river with one. Same with 7x. It's very doubtful that they would check that to us. And even a queen could bet here. I could see a queen checking though because the flush came in. But yeah, they'll bet it sometimes. So because they checked, we can conclude that the range is on the weaker side. So it'll be very difficult for them to call a substantial bet, especially when we credibly have very good hands in our range. We of course could have a flush, and we could even have a boat with pocket 10s or pocket queens, could have quad 7s, could have somehow rivered a boat with pocket 2s, and yeah, like, they just don't have a strong hand just the way they played this, and we easily could. And so with our blocker, we just decide to pull the trigger and ship all the chips. If you notice the pot size, you'll see that it's substantially less than our all-in wager. 2K in the pot, and we're betting 5,300, so we're betting about 2.5x times the pot. Like, this is a pretty big bet. So they can't call this unless they have a very good hand, and as we already determined, they pretty much can't have a good hand, so it's a great spot for us to put the pressure on with our blocker, because we're just going to win this pot so often. So we ship it, they fold, and we dip it. Now we have Queen 9 in the BB. Do we play it? Oh, what? We're under the gun again? Oh, because this Toon Pro guy just got added to the table. Oh, I see. Interesting. Now we have King 3 suited in the BB. Do we play this? Hijackman opens, cut off calls. We of course defend with our suited king. We just miss the flop and check fold to the c-bet. Now we have Queen 8 suited in the small blind. Easy fold is under the gun open. King 4 off. We could raise it if it folds to us, but it doesn't. Ace Jack off again. Under the gun +1 this time. Come in for the same open, the minimum. Under the gun +2 ships it in for like 9 blinds. And we would snap call them if the cutoff here hadn't called. And when they do, alarm bells kind of go off. It looks like they have a pretty strong hand. Because we raise early position, there's already an all-in from early position, so for them to call, like, they have to have something decent. And Ace Jack off just sort of is marginal now with this action. Not too excited about calling or going all in. We're getting pretty good odds to call, actually. I mean, 1,800 win 5,800, getting about 2.5 to 1. So I mean, if we can ever put the cutoff on something like King Queen, Ace 10, you know, we have to call. You know, pocket 8s, 9s. I feel like Like a medium pair like that would probably just ship it though. So yeah, I think like when he calls it looks stronger. Like he has aces or kings or queens and he's just trying to induce. So we decide to be nitty and just fold. And we were correct to fold because of the under the gun +2 shipper, but somehow the caller shows up with ace-9 off, which is perplexing. It makes sense though, because it's a bounty tournament, and the shover, you know, probably had more than a minimum bounty, so he figures his ace-9 has good enough equity against a 9 BB shipping range, even though his range should be tighter there since he didn't just open shove, he shoved over and open, you know, expecting to be called, so he has to have a real hand there. So that's why I think just calling here with ace-9 is too loose. I think he's pretty much always behind. And he still has me to worry about. Like, I opened under the gun +1. I legitimately have a lot of strong hands, and ace-9 off is going to be in really bad shape against them. So luckily for him, I knitted it up and folded a better hand, but I don't think a lot of players would do that. And I think that, yeah, just calling there with ace-9, I think it's too loose. I think it's a losing play. And, yeah, I mean, we would have held against his ace-9 and won some chip. I guess if we'd shipped it, he definitely calls pre. But I think it's too marginal. I think that our fold is good, like, in general. Obviously, we had the best hand against him here. But, you know, over and over and over again, we have this same situation arise. I think they're going to show us better way more often than worse. So that's why I still feel fine about our fold. Deuce 5 off in the BB. Probably not going to play this. Especially not to a min raise from under the gun +1. Now we have ace queen off in small blind. Under the gun +1 opens. Cutoff calls. It's a pretty easy shippity dip here with what, a little less than 19 BB, and we just take it down for a nice Potsky Watsky. Here we have King Jack suited on the button, facing a raise from under the gun. We could call here. I think it'd be okay. We have a suited Broadway, and we're in position. But we somehow decided to fold here because under the gun opened, and there are some reverse implied odds. You know, he'll have better kings and jacks, no repairs and stuff. And the small blind has a good stack to ship it in, like we just did with ace queen. And when we flat, they have more incentive to. So we don't want to like have to call and then full out our equity if they were to ship. So we decided to just make the tight fold here. Yeah, I think calling would be acceptable, but yeah, we decided not to this time. Now we have pocket deuces here on the cutoff. And he's got a muck against the under the gun +1 open. And now we have queen 10 off here. Under the gun, definitely a fold. Queens in the button. Facing a 3x from the hijack and a shippity dip from the cutoff. We easily get it in. And a higgity hold against the ace-8 suited. Ace-queen suited now. In the BB. Facing an open from the hijack. Easy shippity dip. We just take it down. Now I have king 9 suited. In the SB. Easy fold to the early position raise. Jack 8 on the button. Easy fold. 10 jacks suited here, gonna be an open. On the hijack. Small blind calls, BB calls, get a queen 4 10 to spade board. So we have second pair and a flush draw. Checks. We decided to just check it back because we have showdown value with our second pair, and we don't really want to get. I mean, we don't mind getting check raised on this board. You know, we're comfortable getting it in. We have, you know, a lot of equity against like Queen X and whatnot. But they could check raise with better flush draws, which I think is significant. We do not want to get it in against the ace-high flush draw there. I mean, it's okay. Like, I guess we're still kind of ahead with our pair of tens, but like we're still flipping. You know, it just takes away a lot of our outs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine to bet the flop, but I think it's also cool to just check and pot control, and then we can just comfortably value bet a blank turn with our second pair, and yeah, we can still, you know, call bets pretty easily. Our hand is maybe a little more under-repped when we think our flush, because most people bet the flop with a flush draw, so they probably won't think that we have it as much when we check back and get there. But regardless, you know, it's close. Yeah, I think betting or checking flop is totally fine. Small blind bets, BB calls, and we just call as well, getting great odds to draw to trips or to pair or flush. Small blind leads less than half pot on this queen river, and even though, like, you know, our hand seems kind of good here, it's second pair, it's on a queen board, so it's less likely they have a queen. I think it's still an easy fold because their bet looks so value heavy. Like, even though there's, you know, a second queen on board now, like, you know, and there's less of a chance they have one, they could still easily have one. You know, with the action, they would definitely bet a queen on the turn, bet the same amount on the river. It looks very value-y, like they're just trying to, like, milk a call out of us with 10x or whatever. Ace high, you know, maybe like pocket nines or something. And important to point out is the fact that the backdoor flush got there. Like, the small blind could have just bet the turn with a flush draw, like the club flush draw, and now they just got there. So, I mean, they very easily could have a queen or a flush. So I think that makes this fold more simple. And now we have pocket kings under the gun plus 2, and we get a flat from the hijack and the cutoff. We get a 9-9 jack board. We decided to just bet a little less than half pot to induce from draws. Don't really see a lot of 9x flatting us. Maybe the cutoff has 9x there. They could have like 9-8, 9-10. I mean, even 9 jack suited. But the initial flatter likely does not have any 9x. So we decided to just bet here to get value from a lot of jack X, and then of course, you know, like straight and flush draws. So we get a call and a fold, and we turn a boat. We decided to just shady check to induce. And the hijack just bets about half pot, which is slightly more than half our stack, so we just ship the rest in, you know, expecting to get called by jack X. And that's exactly what happens. And we get a nice double. And we have pocket tens here under the gun. Gonna be an easy open. Under the gun plus 2 fliggity flats. Middle position flats, button calls. BB comes along. And we get a pretty good board. 8-7-4, so we have an overpair. We bet it pretty strong. More than half pot to protect our equity, and we get shipped on, and another player calls, and we just call behind, and we get a jack on the turn, so I just check it back because 9-10 got there, and we have a straight draw now, so we just want to realize our equity. Ace on the river's terrible. Thankfully checks through, and we're good somehow against middle pair and a straight draw, and then pocket fives, which also had the straight draw. Now we get queen 4 in the BB, facing a open from the cutoff, small blind calls. We're getting pretty good odds in the BB, so we just flat behind, flop decently, top pair on this rainbow board, just checks through, turn pairs the 5, small blind leads, we call, and the opener calls, and we just river a boat, and we decide to just bet small to induce calls from both players. Figured if we bet like 1800, maybe they both fold, but we bet 12, you know, like they're more likely to both call. So 2400 is greater than 1800, you know, assuming one player just called that. So that's what we decided to go for. Plus, that has the added value of potentially inducing a spaz from like ace high, trying to fold us off R6 or something. Yeah, actually, yeah, I like our play here a lot. You know, fortunately no one raises us, but both players do call. And we end up shippity-dipping it against pocket eights and ace high. And with that, we're going to conclude the second part of this 162 Bounty Builder Hand History Review video series. Hope to see you guys here for part 3.